There was no night then. We used to sleep during the day, wake up, go hunting and fishing. It was all today. There was no tomorrow like now.
Pessoa dormir de dia. Amanhã que depois caçar, né? Não é amanhã. Quando a pessoa dormir de dia, levantar, caçar, volta, achar. Não tinha nem fogo ainda.
The women, in honor of our arrival, paint themselves with jemipapo, a fruit mixed with oil and ashes. I remember when I first came here, the women were the most suspicious and never allowed me to film them. But so much has happened since. Now we are friends. I have filmed the Chukaramai and the other Kayapo tribes many times during the past 25 years, and I thought this would be the perfect place to complete the first cycle of tribal journeys, where it all started for me.
The messengers go from house to house to announce the start of the celebration. Gradually, they will gather at the center of the village to sing and celebrate Raoni's return. During his first expedition in the Amazon interior, Jean-Pierre met Raoni in 1973. Raoni saved his life then and again in 1976. At the time, all Chukaramai were enraged by a new road cutting through their land and by the constant epidemic spreading out of control, killing the children and the elderly. Some foreigners were even dropping blankets infested with smallpox to decimate the Chukaramai people. Their numbers were declining rapidly. Encouraged by the women, the men decided to show their resolve by killing the whites in their midst, Jean-Pierre and his crew. But Raoni stood up for them and prevented their demise. In exchange for their lives, Jean-Pierre promised Raoni to help him secure his ancestors' tribal grounds. And their friendship was born.
At first, it was the women who did all the hunting and the fighting. Back then, they were all using a lip disc. Yes, it was the women who used it first, because it gave them more courage in battle, more strength. It made them more fierce. Then the men started to fight against one tribe or another, so they decided to use the lip disc as well, to frighten the enemy.
All the men have returned from the plantation or from hunting and fishing. They too get ready for the welcome ceremony. The lip disc is no longer worn by the younger generation, but little else has changed. In this region, they are just as feared today as their forefathers were. For centuries, the Kayapo nation was considered the most ferocious in all the Amazon, the bravest of the braves, 1,000 miles around. They used to kill all the rubber tappers, loggers, or gold miners invading their land. To this day, thanks to the work of Raoni and other great Kayapo chiefs, they still control an immense territory, and they have successfully maintained their belief system and traditions. And this success story is, unfortunately, one of the very few in the tribal world.
The first contact with any tribe is usually disastrous. The invaders are always looking for precious timber or gold on Indian land. They don't care for the Indians. They bring them diseases, pollute their rivers with the mercury they use to process gold, and wipe out the fish and the game. Brazilian law stipulates that if anyone buys land in the rainforest and later discovers that the tribe lives on the land, then it automatically becomes an Indian reservation. So, unscrupulous land speculators buy large tracts of land in the Amazon at extremely low prices and make sure no one lives on them by contracting professional killers to attract the Indians with gifts and then kill them. Mass graves have been recently discovered with the remains of men, women, children, and even dogs.
There used to be about 5 million Indians when the Portuguese navigator Cabral was the first to land his ship in Brazil in 1500. Today, the Indians number only about 200,000. Eure always made fire this way in the days before the contact with the outside world. He used to be a hunter-gatherer, moving constantly in the forest in search of food and attacking all intruders.
Eure and Rauni are among the last 12 men in the world still wearing the lip disc. When they go, it will be the end of this particular tradition meant to scare the enemy. Those who wear the disc are warriors ready to die for their land. Rauni was about 17 when he first saw a white man on a horse. How strange, he thought. The white man has 2 heads and 4 legs.
Since then, Rauni has become one of the world's most recognized tribal leaders. More than 200 generations span the time between the Stone Age and the Space Age. Rauni took this giant leap in his own lifetime.
I'm curious to know how, after his accident, he would reconcile modern medicine and traditional healing. He takes what he believes is the best of both worlds: a cast to solidify his broken bones, and the best Suya shaman to remove the bad spirits from his leg. This is the first time I'm allowed to film the page or shaman at work.
Pick it up. Yes, you can. The bad spirits don't like my work, so that is why they put that stuff in my leg. Yes, it is the bad spirits who put it there.
The shaman, in his trance, sees many spirits all around him. He tries to catch them and use their power to heal Rauni. Tobacco is the most common narcotic used by shamans all over the world to contact the spirit world. The Chukaramai believe in one supreme god, Imprere, but also in many lesser spirits of animals and plants in the jungle. The Suya shaman seems to be extracting bits of flesh from Rauni's leg. Rauni now helps Suya recover from his trance by blowing more smoke on him. Rauni has spent one half of his life in the wild, hostile to all outsiders. In the other half of his life, he learned the hard way to deal with the modern world, while forging his beliefs in the Indian way of life and philosophy.
rapaz que estava deitado assim, né? Aí ele olhou aquele estrela bonita.
A young man was lying in his bed, looking up at the sky when he saw a beautiful star. He told all his friends about it. Listen,
Olha,
I have just seen the most beautiful star, and stars are like people. She should come down here so I can marry her.
que estrela é gente mesmo. Ele tem que descer aqui para me casar com ela.
The star was listening, and she liked what she heard.
Mas ele está ouvindo, ele está escutando, né? Que ele parou, né? Ele gostou, né? Então, estrela lá em cima, que ele falou,
So she decided to come down from the sky. She entered the young man's house and waited for him in his bed.
entrou,
When he came home, the young man found a woman in his bed.
aí ele pegou.
Who is there? He said. The star looked at him and said, You called me, and you said you wanted to marry me. So here I am waiting for you.
Olha, você que chamou, você quer casar comigo, né? Eu escutei que você chama eu para esperar você. Agora estou aqui, esperando você.
Ah, it is you. And right away they started to kiss, and then they got married.
Rowney, a wonderful storyteller, is also the guardian of the tribe's traditions.
Tomorrow, we are all going to cry after we destroy the wasp's nest. It's going to be very hard.
Apart from filming the shaman's healing for the first time, one of my other objectives during this trip was to try and film the maribundo or killer wasp ritual. When a nest of wasps is found near a village, it must be destroyed because the wasps can attack and kill young children. It is an initiation for young shaman and warriors. They must destroy the nest with their bare hands. It is extremely painful and a real test of courage.
We have to do it to become warriors, to be strong. That's the way it is.
The young warriors paint themselves, then sing and dance all night to prepare. They must be strong for the ultimate test.
The Indians don't keep a calendar. Anything beyond 5 years is just a lot of years. So they don't know exactly how old they are. Only recorded events by the outside world give an approximation. What we know for sure is that these dances and songs echo the distant past of the Chukaramai, coming down from one generation to the next, unchanged.
Because the first contact with an isolated tribe of indigenous people is almost always disastrous, the work of anthropologists, ethnographers, and other indigenists is important, even beyond their particular scientific field. When the Indians see that some of these amazing foreigners, with their incredible technology, care about their simple way of life, their customs and traditions, they regain some of the lost confidence and faith in themselves.
The young braves look nervous and intense. They know what's to come. The most courageous will go first, and they have to decide who that is. It happens really fast. The wasp nest was way up in the tree. The Indians built a ladder the day before, and now, two at a time, they climb to the nest. They break out a piece of it and struggle back down. Thousands of crazed wasps attack them relentlessly. Women with branches flock the wasp away from the boys. It is pandemonium, screaming and running everywhere. The furious wasps attack everybody on the scene. I'm also attacked as I try to film what's happening. The wasps get entangled in my hair and bite my skull ferociously. I drop the camera. I pick it up again to get these few glimpses, and then it's all over. I'm not sure I'll ever try this again.
The boys recover from their ordeal in the arms of their loved ones. Smoke lessens the intense pain. In the late 60s, the Chucaromai were contacted by Claudio and Orlando Villas-Boas. The Chucaromai were given a small reservation by the Brazilian government, but Rowney wasn't happy. He wanted the old traditional hunting grounds returned to their rightful owners. This is his lifelong struggle, his cause. Like Don Quixote, he embarked on what seemed the most impossible task, and Jean-Pierre Critaco became his poncho.
Critaco, to this day you have been behind me, and there is not one white man, not a single one like you. You are interested to know my stories, my life, my work. You are very important to me.
I have filmed the Chucaromai and the other Kayapo tribes many times during the past 25 years, and I thought this would be the perfect place to complete the first cycle of tribal journeys, where it all started for me.
The messengers go from house to house to announce the start of the celebration. Gradually, they will gather at the center of the village to sing and celebrate Rowney's return. During his first expedition in the Amazon interior, Jean-Pierre
There was no night then. We used to sleep during the day, wake up, go hunting and fishing. It was all today. There was no tomorrow like now.
met Rowney in 1973. Rowney saved his life then and again in 1976. At the time, all Chucaromai were enraged by a new road cutting through their land and by the constant epidemic spreading out of control, killing the children and the elderly. Some foreigners were even dropping blankets infested with smallpox to decimate the Chucaromai people. Their numbers were declining rapidly. Encouraged by the women, the men decided to show their resolve by killing the whites in their midst, Jean-Pierre and his crew. But Rowney stood up for them and prevented their demise. In exchange for their lives, Jean-Pierre promised Rowney to help him secure his ancestors' tribal grounds. And their friendship was born.
At first, it was the women who did all the hunting and the fighting. Back then, they were all using a lip disc. Yes, it was the women who used it first, because it gave them more courage in battle, more strength. It made them more fierce.
The women, in honor of our arrival, paint themselves with jemipapo, a fruit mixed with oil and ashes. I remember when I first came here, the women were the most suspicious and never allowed me to film them. But so much has happened since. Now we are friends.